Hey, how you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Yes, I shaved. I For a bunch of reasons. First, it was super hot at work. Oh my god, I'm in a building with no air conditioning, and what do you think we're doing? We're putting in all the air conditioning, and the roofers are tarring the roof. Oh my god, those freaking poor guys! And the tar is so liquid, it just pours out, and it was going through every crack. So I'm the floor below going, what is dripping on me? And I look up and I got tar in my face, in my beard, in my eyebrows. So I just had to shave everything off. There's a reason why tar and feathering was a horrible thing to do. So yeah, it looks like I could read your mind. Yep. So there you go. We're here live. This is my closeout for Heroic Tales 2 on Fund My Comic. It's no secret it's going to be on a Kickstarter as soon as it gets approved, and I'll have a Kickstarter bat cleanup. So I want to do a live stream. We'll stream. It closes. Oh, I just hit a button. Did I do anything? It closes. It closes tomorrow. Okay, so it closes tomorrow. Okay, I thought it closed tonight. I got the days mixed up. So it closes tomorrow at 8 p.m. So I'll go live again tomorrow. But we're here now. We'll talk. So we got a creative Welshman over there, and not Welsh's jelly, right? Welsh is the imaginary country somewhere near England, right?
It's the mythical lands of wizards.
Right. It doesn't really exist, right? It doesn't really. It exists in certain states of mind, right? Cardiff is in Wales, right?
Yes.
I'm an American. We don't know that stuff. And we also got Tonic Wall.
You have to be able to transverse the mystical barriers between the two countries.
Right. Yeah, we got Tonic Wall. He's probably away from the computer. How you doing, Tonic?
I'm here.
How's everything?
What's up?
Hey, Tonic, what are you doing right now? What you got some projects that you're working on. What are you doing?
Yes, I do. I'm currently finishing up Saving the World number 12, but it's still funding on Kickstarter. And
put the link in the private chat, and I'll put it in the public chat.
Yeah, and I also still, well, it's what's they call that, where you can still make pledges after it's wrapped.
Yeah, it's in demand.
Right, both Saving the World number 12 and Saving the World Omnibus that collects all 12 issues is still in demand on Kickstarter. They call it something different, but it's the same idea. And and we're preparing to launch On Call Heroes number 2. It'll probably be this sometime next week. We're launching that. And then I have a bunch of projects that are in the works, but I don't. Brian Baugh is working on Lily and Wepawet. My brain's stumbling. Lily and Wepawet, and then I'm going to publish a few people's comics that I have nothing to do with other than publishing them.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Yeah, so the rest of the year, very busy, though I'll mainly be just wrapping up I got Red Sirens that I got to catch up on, and then I got the 2 Saving the World things. And that'll be most of my year, whereas everything else I'm doing is I either just wrote it or I had nothing to do with it, and I'm just putting it publishing them and crowdfunding them and stuff.
And if that's not enough of a workload, you also got some strange comic work with some freak.
That's true.
Yeah,
my work is slow on that, but that's what I'm hoping, that the end of the summer I get all my stuff wrapped up. So I'm putting off another issue of Saving the World in the immediate because I want to get our project going. The Eddie is doomed, and
Eddie is doomed with me, Tonic Bowl, and then this super talented gentleman, Oscar Carano, who oh my, you've seen the pages that he submitted already, huh?
They're amazing.
Oh my God, I'm so honored to be working with 2 of the greatest people in comics right now. I'm so happy. It's good, guys. Me and Tonic we just pat each other on the head all day long. It's such a good script.
Yeah, it is very good. And hey, I'll admit I don't know. When I read it, I was like, the, its audience is the audience I'm been looking for. But in modern times, it's a lot of Marvel DC. Even the people doing like buying crowdfunded comics, they're still kind of to some degree Marvel DC. We don't really have that group that when I was growing up, like where the flaming carrot was bigger than Superman ever was in that group. Nowadays, it's pretty much, everybody's kind of holding comics up to the light of Marvel DC. But I was like, if Eddie Was Doomed came out in like 1995, it would have been like the biggest Fantagraphics hit ever.
Oh my, Tonic, you are brilliant. Do you realize, like, you just came up with the whole concept of Eddie Is Doomed just in a throwaway joke to me,
Right.
because I just said I want to make a comic book about a comic book collector who never comes out of his basement or has to move out of his parents' basement.
Right.
He said that's the greatest thing. And then we started messaging, and next thing you know, we got a script. You just gave the tagline for Eddie Is Doomed, the greatest comic of 1995.
That is 100% true. And that's Saving the World didn't mean to be, or all my comics didn't mean to be that, because I kind of thought, okay, it's time for me to update myself. Though in my heyday of my late teens and 20s was underground comics, so 00, and then a lot of R. Crumb influenced stuff and whatnot. And so that was what kind of grew my brain. I mean, The Crow was the biggest superhero of when I was getting into drawing comics more seriously. But I kind of was moving away from that. That's why I did superheroes, which I hadn't done since 4th grade. And so, yeah, it's this weird, I hope that all of us doing these kind of weird comics brings those people out of the woodwork,
Right.
Because
Eddie's Doomed, for those of you who don't know, it's been a while since Tonic's been on my channel, and it's been a while since I talked about it, because Tonic he's got to get his other comics out first. I totally understand, but it's about Eddie, who's a nice guy, a little socially awkward, but the problem with Eddie is he does everything the easiest way. So he never moved out of his parents' house. He's and he collects comics. He's an encyclopedia of comics, and his poor dad says, I'm retired. I'm going to move down to Florida. You got to move out. And Eddie loses his poop. And he's just like, Dad, how could you do this to me? He goes to the comic book store because that's where he goes to for solace. And he finds out that Doomed Earth is coming out, which is destroying the continuity of his childhood comic books, Top Comics. And it's making it more like Premier Comics. It's Crisis on Infinite Earths. So now he doesn't even have solace in his comic book world. So Eddie is just doomed. His world is ending. His comic book world is ending. What does poor Eddie do?
Yeah, and this reminds Daniel Klaus.
Oscar says that. He read the script. He goes, this is a Daniel Klaus script.
I love Daniel Klaus, but the thing is, kind of like where I had this kind of idea of, this kind of loser guy, and you then goes, hold on a second, that's not just a throwaway tweet. There's something there, and you flesh it out and make it something. That is one of I write a certain thing, so that's why I've been working with more people, is because Saving the World is the comic I can produce by myself, write and draw. I have tons of ideas, but no interest. Like, I would never do Eddie Is Doomed like on my own. One thing, when we were talking back and forth, I was always going way too negative. Like, I was going into hard, harsh comedy.
Yeah, when we first started talking about it, it was really dark. And
and you were like, hold on, no, there's a lighter touch. And I think that's where the Klaus comes in, If you read his comics,
to be honest, life is really dark, and I really didn't want to add to it.
Right. And, Daniel Klaus has this talent of, he'll write a comic. I mean, really, his formula is I'm going to write a comic whose main character is a loser, but I'm going to make it to where you don't actually hate them or think they're a loser, right?
Right.
There's a little bit of balance. You understand. He puts you in their shoes, and I think Eddie is Doom does exactly that.
I don't want to give anything away, but Eddie does some questionable things.
Right.
But he does it because he has no self-awareness.
Right.
And in his defense, once he realizes it's wrong, he's like, "Oh my God, that was something I shouldn't be doing."
Right. Right.
You know, he's just a clueless, harmless, lazy guy he just wants to sail through life and, you know, just whatever's the easiest path, the path of least resistance. And I grew to really like it. It was originally called Tommy is Doomed, but then my friend Tommy died, and I couldn't write a comic called Tommy is Doomed when my friend Tommy died. He got the COVID shot. 2 weeks later, he's dead. But
yeah.
But my cousins told me that had nothing to do with anything, and I was an idiot for even suggesting it. What do you guy got blood clots and died? Wow.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, we got Dave Brink over here, another one of my favorite people. Dave, if you want to come in, this is open invite. We're just talking comics. And before I forget, the whole reason we're here is the Fund My Comic campaign for Creative Wellspring. I didn't forget you. I'm sorry that you just hit. Fund My Comic Heroic Tales 2 is closing tomorrow. I'm an idiot, and I thought it was closing today. But it's closing tomorrow. But you know what? We're here. We're going to talk to 8 o'clock because at 8:30 I have its clobbering time. We're going to talk about the Dark Lords. We're going to have Voldemort from a magical place near Wales fighting Darth Vader. So how's that? Darth Vader versus Voldemort. This is going to be Nerd Fest Deluxe. So that'll be at 8:30. And then tomorrow I'll probably stream again because I'm such an idiot. I didn't realize that my campaign was still going on tomorrow. And I want to say this.
2 closeout streams.
Yeah, well, I'll have 2 closeout streams. That's not against the law. I do what I want here. We're rebels. Indie comics, we're rebels. We don't follow rules.
This is America.
This is America, right? Right? I didn't hear no bell. Oscar Carano wants to know, is issue 12 he's doing a cover for Saving the World?
What?
Is issue 12 where my cover is in? Oscar, is he doing a cover for Saving the World?
Oh, Oscar is, but we pushed it to the next one.
Oh,
I was too late getting on board, and so then I got to look at all my stuff. It's either going to be on On Call Heroes #2 or Saving the World #13.
I want to see that, man. Oscar is so talented. He's for those of you who don't know, Oscar, we also do art with Oscar periodically. He does the coloring for Mary Sue and everything else. Everything. The Patriarch, I'm loyal. Daniel started the Patriarch. I want him to stay with the Patriarch. But everything else is going to be Oscar. He is fast, professional, talented, and he could draw. And I have 3 Raven stories in my mind. One of them Renzo's going to draw. Renzo has to do the first one because that Renzo called it. Then I got one for Ron and one for Oscar. And whatever one comes out first is whatever comes out first. So I want, and I have another story that Oscar, I'll talk to you later, that I would like you to draw and color. Oscar is so talented. So talented. And Dave, if you want to come on in, talk about your comics. You got a new team too. And I just backed what you were, I was driving home listening to your stream. Cosmo Girl, that looked fun. We got Marcus, just got home from work.
I should actually back that one.
I'm sorry?
I should actually back that one while I got a chance.
Oh, yeah, I'm a sucker. That looked good. Marcus is also drawing The Public Eye for me right now. And I don't know. What happened to the beard? I'll repeat the story. It's super hot. It was 100 degrees here in New York, 100% humidity. I was angry. I was sweaty. I was miserable. And I do physical work. And the guys on the roof were pouring tar. And the tar just, like tar does in hot weather, it just stayed, and it was dripping through holes in the ceiling where we're putting pipes for electrical wires, but we didn't get a chance to do fire stop or anything yet. So I'm looking up going, what's dripping on me? And I looked like I was in blackface. I had tar in my hair, in my eyebrows. I had to trim my eyebrows, my beard. So there you go. Knowing me, 3 weeks later, I'll look like a mountain man again. So and it's funny because when I went to the barber, the guy didn't speak any English, he Spanish guy, and I was trying to explain, just shave it all off, and we were having a difficult time. He was like doing real slow trims. I was like, get rid of it, I have public eye questions. Ask him away. You want to ask him in private, or do you want to ask in public? Genuine Comics, Dave. So anybody wants to pop in, this is an open invite. So Creative Wealth Man, you've been sitting there quiet. What's up? Weren't you? I'm sorry. I talked to so many people. Are you the gentleman that was working on the Sentinel of Liberty or the Torch of Liberty?
Captain Liberty.
Captain Liberty. How's that going? How's that project going?
About halfway through the script, but it's getting the second half to work properly, and because it's more about how he becomes the hero.
Okay.
And at the moment, I'm just trying to figure out the right ending, so I don't want him to be a government stooge.
Okay. Yeah. You want to make superheroes are. I love superheroes, but you want to put your own spin on them. I think I have a unique spin. Nobody really knows in a 22-page story, but I'm hoping by the end of Patriarch #1, I think everybody's going to see how it is that my world works and how my superheroes are slightly different than everybody else. Oscar has a good question. What do you think about the John Byrne Elsewhere? Tonic, Creative Welshman, do you guys have any ideas on this, or do you even know what he's talking about?
I know what Elsewhere is. I've heard about it before, and I'm thinking of buying all 3 volumes just to see what it's all about. But believe me when I say this, I've never read an X-Men comic before. I've seen the cartoons, but I've never read the comics.
Oh, I keep forgetting the time difference over there. Even farther away, even less in reality, the Netherlands over there, right? When I was a kid, I always thought the Netherlands was like a mystical place. Yeah, so happy Elsewhere is being. So John Byrne, for years, has been drawing and writing X-Men comics, but he's been putting it on his website and he's not charging. So it's literally fan fiction by a professional. And it's some really good comics. And I watched it for a little while. I followed it for a little while. Then I forgot about it. And it's been years since I revisited it. And Marvel has been making offers to buy it from him. And John Byrne didn't want to do it because he didn't want Marvel to control it. He just wanted it to be a fun project. They must have backed up a truckload of money, or John Byrne was like, enough is enough. I'm done. You can't change it. Who knows? But it's going to be like 3 volumes of years worth of alternate X-Men comics. It's supposed to be when John Byrne left the X-Men. So around like...
Well, didn't they do that a couple of years ago? I mean, a couple of years, like 20 years ago or so.
Turn down your mic a little bit. It's just like moving. But I don't know if they did that before, but they never did it with John Byrne. So,
Now, I find that very interesting because the biggest problem with mainstream comics is what used to be a benefit of they needed to get these monthly issues out, and so there was a rush, so it kind of gave a certain feel to it. It's become too shovelware, right? The people hired aren't really thinking things out. They're just doing their job real quick. Whereas in this case, nothing is better than someone doing something sheerly for fun. Now, then Marvel taking it and taking that recipe and presenting it to a major audience is kind of ideal. Like I almost rarely read mainstream comics today because they're clearly just hammered out garbage, right? They're just like, okay, get this junk out. And the writer doesn't give a crap. The artists don't give a crap. Everybody's there to get that paycheck and get the hell out of there and go to Disney World or something. And you can just feel it. If someone's not having fun creating it, you're not going to have fun reading it. And whereas in this case, the guy had no incentive to do this.
Right, he did it because he loved to do it.
Right,
Yes.
that's the best recipe for a comic, and there's more people that do it that I wish. My buddy Jim Lawson, who drew Ninja Turtles forever, whenever they sold it to Nickelodeon, he started a little comic that was Ninja Turtles, but like a fan comic thing, and he gave it away for something or whatever. And I talked to him. I said, I mean, people are really big fans of this because it continues where Mirage left off. Is there any like have you? And Peter, the co-creator Peter, he could publish it, and he said, well, I don't know. And then he decided just not to do it and move on to his own projects. But I think that's very interesting that getting these types of things, because there's more out there of this. But anyway, so I'm a very big fan of the idea.
Yeah, like you said, he did it because he loved to do it. He took his time. I'm sure he put in his best work, whatever he worked. I'm really excited to see it. I've seen the pencils. Now, it's going to be inked in color, and it's going to look like. Is Terry Austin going to ink it? Is John Byrne going to ink it? If Terry Austin doesn't ink it, John Byrne is the second best inker for John Byrne.
Right.
Totally agree.
I'm excited. This is going to be my first new off the rack Marvel comic that I'll be buying it since 2015. I've been buying Marvel comics, contrary to popular belief, but years later, like I'll reach it down here. I got some Dan Slott X-Men's. Like I just got like 9, 10, 11, up to 15. Damn, he won't finish it? I thought it was finished. Oh, Elseworld isn't finished because Byrne stopped drawing it. He got what?
Oh well.
I mean,
36 issues worth of great content to read.
Sorry, my computer just shut off and shut off. I'm having a severe thunderstorm right here. I don't know if you guys just saw me blink on and off.
Yeah, to be fair, I don't think mainstream comics ever are concluded. That's kind of the, it goes on forever, so it's fine.
Yeah, it depends on the project, because today you're absolutely 100% correct, 100%. There's no endpoint ever. But before, let's put let's say Alienation, not Alienation. It's an epic comic book, Marvel, Alien something. Anyways, when they shut the door on that, thankfully they put an ending on it. They put an end cap on it. They used to do that. Now they don't care. Like Separify. If you guys remember that Elseworld story from Marvel way back in the day, came out around the same time. That had an ending too. And it was very, very good. It's more of a sci-fi than comic booky, but they will do it. Just they lost that ability somehow.
Now DC, I'm a DC fan. They retcon everything before they even get close to an ending, and that's.
Guys, my wife has called me. I got to go upstairs for a second.
Just need you to do the breaker. The AC turned off.
Okay, the power just went off last. I got to go flip breakers.
Let's go back.
We'll handle it. I'll take over. So, guys, tell me, how do you feel about this John Byrne thing? Wait, is it John Byrne? I wasn't paying attention.
I'm sorry, John Byrne can't even save Marvel at this point in time.
No. And it's when you have
way too late.
When you have to bring in the old guys, well, that's only a temporary band-aid. Kind of like with DC and Frank Miller. It's Frank Miller is one of my favorite creators of all time, but he can't save the future of comics. I mean, the guy's only going to be here for so long. If there's not young creators that bring fresh new things, you can only recycle the old so much.
Well, there may be a sliver of hope. Donald Trump's bringing back these same asylums. So hopefully, fingers crossed.
As an American, I will say 100%. We need the same asylums back. We really, really do.
Yeah, let me finish. There's a sliver of hope that all these hack writers and editors might end up being institutionalized.
Right. Now, here's what I say. It's the gaming industry has the exact same problem, is that when something becomes profitable or a good job, it gets immediately filled with college graduates that within gaming, so many developers never created a game until they were getting paid to do it. Comic books is no different. A lot of these people never even dreamed of writing a comic or drawing a comic until they were getting a paycheck for it.
Well, another problem is look at Wizards of the Coast. I mean, Hasbro at this point in time. You put somebody that is in charge of Microsoft in charge of Magic the Gathering
Right.
and expect that to work. You're like, what are you doing? You're batshit crazy. And look at Magic. I mean, Magic almost killed itself again. You know, right now it's doing okay, but it was really bad. Like my personal collection went down from 40,000 down to like 10,000. What I have left of it. They screwed the pooch.
Success.
I'm going to have to explain my shaving a lot tonight.
Yeah.
I got tar in my hair from work today, so you had to get.
I sent you a picture of how I used to look when I used to look like you. If you saw that,
I think I'm the only one that has a clean shaven face on this panel. Tonic, you got that Jim Morrison look going, right?
Yeah, I still got that going on.
Yeah, so
My hair's a little
I
shorter than
make
this
it
picture.
beard.
There are great artists and writers, but Marvel don't want to evolve the characters and always return to the status quo. Same, yeah, you know, they got to do that. That's one of the problems with characters. Like for most of my reading of Marvel, it didn't really bother me. But when I started reading comics in 1974, Marvel comics were only 10 years old. So I didn't like Peter Parker changed from a high school student to a college student. It didn't really, but now Peter Parker is legit like he should be 80 years old, but he's not. So the problem is when they reference wars and they reference presidents, you have to suspend disbelief, and it's getting harder and harder to like Reed Richards and Ben Grimm were fought in World War II in their original origin, and they launched before the moon missions. You know what I mean? They were the first ones to go to the moon before the Apollo project. Now we have to slide it that they were in a spaceship to the point. It sooner or later it does break reality. Like they're stretching it and stretching it and stretching. Do I want?
Think of the Simpsons then. I mean, how old is Bart Simpson?
Yeah, but the Simpsons at the end of every episode goes back to
Classic
get
Simpsons. They were referencing Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and they moved it. Oh no, they met in the 90s and so on. They just keep sliding the timelines to the point where it makes no sense.
Yeah.
To the point where somebody created a family saying
wars. They don't
toaster.
reference presidents.
No,
you know,
they do reference cultural events.
right?
I mean, there was an episode called, I think it was in reference to that 90s show, which was a retelling of how Marge and Homer met. It was in the 90s. And I think in that episode, Homer was part of a band and all that. The thing is, we know that they met when Empire Strikes Back was in the cinemas, which was in the 70s, I think, or the
Right.
80s.
I mean, I'll buy it for the Simpsons because, you know, but this like if you remember, they kind of joked that everything the status quo is reestablished at the end of every episode, like and then someday I forget one of the episodes Bart was just like, oh, I would like an elephant, and Lisa goes, you had an elephant, his name was Stampy, you loved it. He goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like they joke that they don't even remember the past episode. Like there's no real character arcs. It's like Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny, there's no continuity. You know, every episode is its own thing. You know,
It's episodic.
right? It's episode like it's a lot like The Odd Couple, one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. There's no continuity. You could watch any episode in any order. They don't reference stuff that happened in the other. It's like at the end of every episode, they just reset the chess pieces and start another game. But you know, comic books, it's weird because we're supposed to accept that it's not 70 years ago, but at the same time, we're supposed to accept that Franklin's growing, that Peter graduated high school. You know DC really doesn't have like children. Like, you know, Dick Grayson grew up and became Nightwing. That's really the only evidence of any. So it's supposed to be this. It's changing. Time is progressing, but it's not. As Chuck Dixon calls it, the illusion of change, and that goes for so long before. You know, and we're forgetting now. I'm a 56-year-old man. Like, comic books are supposed to be for children. It's supposed to be they read them for 4 or 5 years and then move on, so they don't get bothered by, oh yeah, Superman revealed his identity to JFK. You know what I mean? Like, how is he just debuting now? But we
Well,
John, and I do agree with you. That most people, that's how they think. But at all through my comic book buying, purchasing for so long, it's always more adults than kids. I rarely ever saw kids my age in comic book stores.
right. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
just talking today. Oh, go ahead, Tonic. I talked about.
yeah, I'd say that is the average age of a comic book reader has increased dramatically from 1993 to
Sorry.
modern time. So
I don't know about you, but I definitely would not let a child read something with that on the cover.
Not all comics. I mean, I this is like one of my we talk comics, and then somebody brings Omaha the Cat Dancer.
Or Nexus.
You really brought that one out of nowhere, John. You know that, right?
Yeah, it's just like we all understand. We talk in generalities. I know the comic geek people can't understand when I bring this up, but normal people, we talk in generality.
Yes.
yeah, and we're talking. We're really, because I think when it comes to like the industry, most people are really talking about DC and Marvel, whereas there's other publishers that do super raunchy stuff, like myself.
Right.
But when your primary franchises are Batman, Superman, X-Men, Spider-Man, and so on and so forth, then that's where the aging demographic comes in, to where we want to see not more mature storylines particularly, but more consistent, right? Because we've been reading for so long. And for DC, they were always less consistent than Marvel, because Batman was a lot of the greatest stories were these solos that weren't really within canon specifically. And in 86 is when they decided, man, this Marvel guys, they tell one story, all characters in the same universe that's ongoing. Let's try that. So they did the reboot, and they've never been super consistent about that. But as John pointed out, as time goes on, this is IP. They're trying to make. We're nearing a century of this IP. I don't think. Imagine if they were still trying to make Charlie Chaplin movies. That's the equivalent of trying to make Superman relevant in 2025. It's
the same with John. It's the same with it's James Bond. Like he fights the Cold War. What does James Bond have to offer in 2025?
Right.
Yeah. So the two franchises. Look at Superman, right? Superman, if you want to bring him for 2020-25, it's not that you have to change Superman. You have to change the perspective on how we look at him. Everyone looks at him as a big blue Boy Scout. That term is dead. Nobody even knows what a Boy Scout is anymore, right? So you got to look at him as what he is. He's a symbol of hope, and you've got to write him as such. Don't make him boring. Look at All-Star Superman. He was not boring in that at all. It was great. Superman Brainiac. That's another Superman story where they take him out of his element and they humanize him without depowering him. Very well done. It's the thing is, we got lazy writers who just go back to the easy shit to do, and that's how they write the books, and that's the biggest problem.
I'll go even further than that. You're being too nice. I think we have characters that just they themselves think being good and wholesome and inspiring is hokey at best, wrong at worst.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to write a good Superman anymore. Well, there's something wrong with you then, and you shouldn't write Superman. Since we're talking about Superman, I like the new Superman movie. It's actually my favorite.
Same here.
Superman movies. I really
no spoilers too much, guys, please.
What's that?
Not too many spoilers, please.
Okay, I won't bring up any spoilers, but but here's why, and I couldn't figure out why. Maybe I said it the other day, but today I was talking to a carpenter at work, and he was so happy that I liked the Superman movie, and he goes, me and my kids were cheering in the movie, and it crystallized it right then and there. This Superman movie, it doesn't pander to kids, but it's made with kids in mind. And if you're making a Superman movie, sorry, Zack Snyder guys, but Man of Steel did not make that movie with children in mind.
I don't think he made that movie with anybody in mind but himself.
Like the Batman, the Nolan Batman movies, everybody, I don't particularly like them, but those are not. Batman is a character on underoos, on lunchboxes, on thermoses. If you're making a Batman movie, even this newest Batman movie, it was a serial killer movie. I liked it, but I'm a 56-year-old man. Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, even the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, they should be made so that children can like them and adults can appreciate them. Like the classic example is the first 3 Star Wars movies. Every kid in the world loved them, and yet there was a little bit more behind the scenes that you pick up as an adult. That is the formula that we should be following for superhero movies.
And I think, John, you hit the nail on the head, because if you look at Star Wars, right? Star Wars Empire Return, right? Look at the way those are filmed, look at the way those are written. Children can get it. It's not written for children to get it, but children can get it. Look at Phantom Menace, Revenge, and so forth, the prequels. They were written with children in mind. And yet children don't get those movies at all. They just see the pretty pictures. The story, they don't understand anything about galactic senates and blockade runs for economy. Kids don't care about that shit. You know what I mean? So I think George hit the nail on the head the first time when he had people write for him on his ideas, as opposed to when he wrote, he concentrated too much on the adult and too much on the kids, and there wasn't a lot of cross between them.
Right.
That was the biggest weakness of the prequel.
Now, in defense of Snyder, the funny thing about Zack Snyder is, okay, I didn't actually like his movies, but I didn't love them. I love his visual thing. It's, the Snyder thing. But the funny thing is, he didn't write any of those, right? He was just the director. So Man of Steel was after the Dark Knight trilogy, and Warner Brothers wanted to expand that into a MCU. So they hired Nolan, and Nolan said, yes, I'll write the next Superman movie. So him and Goyer go and write the Superman movie. And then he said, but I don't want to direct it. And they're like, fine, whatever, we'll get this Snyder guy to do it. Now, Snyder is more than happy to take the credit for all of these movies, but the irony is he really was just the director. And so the real problem was, I love the Dark Knight trilogy. Though the Batman character is unique to, I think, all comics, mainstream comics, in that you can readapt him in a million different ways, and you can. The Joker is a great example of how far you can take that property away from its source material, and it still totally work. And I don't know what it is inherent about that, but you couldn't do that with X-Men. You can't do that to the Avengers or Superman or anybody else, but you can do it with Batman. Well, that gave them a bad example. So they said, wait, are you saying we can make movies that are totally divorced from the source material to some great degree, but still catch that essence? It's like, well, no. Only if it's Batman. So when you have Man of Steel, he's acting like Batman because the writers only knew how to do Batman. So they're like, what if Superman was just Batman? It's like, well, he can't be. But then I think that they did, the studio in general did really good on Wonder Woman. I actually liked both of her movies, but
I loved the first Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah,
I thought, I don't know, do kids like it? All I know is I really liked it. I got to watch it again, thinking, would children like that movie?
right.
I loved the first 2/3. The last third was okay.
Yeah,
I know I'm gonna be taking breaks to explain why I shaved every couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Make a little macro so you can hit the button every time somebody asks.
You need a banner at the bottom of the page, just scrolling.
He got time on his face when he got to shave. See,
You got tarred and feathered. Oh, it's working.
Yeah.
Oh, cool! That's a good idea. I'll put it in. Keep talking.
Yeah. So, So, anyways, not super defense, because then Zack Snyder, he lacks understanding of emotion and tempo and all that. But when we went and saw Superman, the first time I saw it, I did get a takeaway of this is finally a movie really for kids, geared towards them pretty aggressively. And there was things. The complaint we had in the late 90s, early 2000s is the opposite of the one today. I remember when Batman Forever and Batman and Robin came out, and it was like these guys are focusing too much on selling action figures, not making a good movie. Well, then the Dark Knight trilogy comes out and says, we're not trying to sell anything other than this movie. And you go, these are great. All movies should be like this. And then all movies are like that. And we start to go, you know what? I kind of like if they were trying to sell action figures a little bit. And Superman, I feel like, kind of went back towards that a little.
Right.
Now, I wasn't blown away my first viewing. I'm a nitpicker on script. Some plot holes really agitated me. But then I went back the second time thinking, watch this, because I love the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles original cartoon. Go back and watch it with that in mind, not thinking a heavy superhero blockbuster movie. Think of it like you're watching a show that is clearly for kids, and you need to adapt to that. It's not for me. And I go and watch it. I loved the hell out of it the second time because I was in the right mindset. That, I think too often our generation of Gen X and old millennials, we want things made for us specifically, and we get really angry when it's not for us specifically. And then we hate it when it's made for us specifically because it's not like it used to be. It's like because I was 10 years old when I saw Tim Burton's Batman, or 8 or something. And so I saw it in a different light. If I saw Batman today, I would go, wait a second. What's this whole deal with the Joker being the one that shot his parents? That's hog shit. I would have freaked out. Or the fact, there's so many things that you would notice as an adult from Batman that he only had one date with Vicky Vale before he was going to reveal his thing. Well, that's suspension of belief movie magic. They don't have time to show 15 dates. And so
funny, as an adult, when I watched Star Wars, Luke and Han spent about 7 hours together. He's just a fare in a taxi that he picked up and dropped off.
Yeah.
And now, why is Han leaving? He has to help him blow up the Death Star. They're the best buddies. No, they spent about 7 hours together.
Right.
That's one work shift.
I rewatched Star Wars, the first trilogy, a while back. And if I'm in the wrong mood, I have zero tolerance for some reason. And then I'll be in a mood where I tolerate anything. Anyways, I watched it and I was like, I watched the first movie, New Hope. And I was like, that was one of the worst written movies I've ever seen. It feels like it lasts 10 minutes.
That's because I think you're looking at it incorrectly.
Right.
That was a pulp movie.
But then once I watched, knowing I've watched the trilogy obviously a million times, knowing the additional movies, I know the scope. But if I watched the first movie by itself and devoid what I know and being an old man, I would not think that was a good movie today.
I am the complete opposite than you on that. It stands better on its own than with all the other garbage.
The original Star Wars movie, I was in 3rd grade when that movie came out, and I was enthralled, and it was magic, and it was perfection. I didn't see any errors because I was in 3rd grade, and there was really nothing like it. It was a revolution. It was nothing on. And I will say, every Star Wars movie, cartoon product that came out after Star Wars only diminished Star Wars.
I agree 100%.
Empire Strikes Back was great, but then I started to see the flaws in it. Right then and there, Luke is I am your father. I'm like, no, Darth Vader was just some creep in the first movie. Now he's important. And then the 3rd movie, Luke is your sister. And then it just it's like, come on, stop.
Well, Lucas gets in his own way. He's his own worst enemy. It's better to have other people write his material than he writes it.
It was just like like, where'd you come from? Oh, you just thought that was cool. Then why did Luke and Leia kiss in the first movie? Like everything, every time another Star Wars movie came out, it diminished.
Yeah, and it just got worse with the prequels and sequels.
Yeah,
it gets
so-
worse and worse.
I'm happy with Star Wars just being done. You know, let's work on a new franchise. It could be sci-fi, it could be whatever. But yes, Chewbacca is going to be Luke's twin brother in the next movie. You know,
So I look at it as OG. Then you got Lucas.
I find an interesting way to fix Star Wars when they do the next trilogy. To undo the sequel trilogy, you just have the Force Ghost explain that Luke was doing magic Dagobah mushrooms and he was spazzing out in the eating. And that was the sequel trilogy.
Nothing never happened. He didn't die. He was just really stoned.
If James Gunn does a Batman movie, I want him to just starts out with Batman running down the street going after whatever, you know what I mean? He beats up the bad guys and he goes into the Batcave and you see the big dinosaur, the giant penny. Batman kind of has the blue big ear Jim Aparo look, and it's Batman, but it's comic book Batman, and Robin is not like the TV show, not like kitschy or anything like that, but Robin is excited to be Robin. He's making jokes, he's smiling, and you could have Batman fighting these people and Robin being silly. And I would kind of like to see Robin not really, like, once in a while throwing a kick, but mostly Robin's running around being a distraction. And we have kind of like a hokey, maybe Joker-inspired mystery where, like, the Joker is stealing General Custer's sword because, you know what I mean? But there's stakes. You know the Joker will kill people, but you don't really see it. And it's like, oh, okay, the adults saw that there was threats. The adults saw that the Joker is crazy. He's acting crazy, but if you think about it, there's a logic to it. But the kids just see a colorful guy in a costume swinging around and a kid having fun doing acrobatics. So, like, I really want, and I know right now people are like, oh my God, James Gunn is the worst. He's too jokey. But I didn't find that the Superman movie had extraneous jokes. Superman was a little bit more human, but to me, I like that because it showed that there was threats. It showed that Lex Luthor studied Superman. Like, I understood that Lex Luthor was studying him for years before he launched this plan, and he did all of the weaknesses that Superman already had established. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't just pull out like some like stupid weakness like kryptonite, other things. And Superman, like, he beat Superman for a lot of the movie because Lex Luthor's only power is his intellect. And I'm trying to not do spoilers because Arkham, you didn't see it yet. But I'm real curious if you liked it as much as me, because this was a Superman comic book movie. The first Christopher Reeve Superman movie was cinema. It was an important movie. It showed that you can take comic books and make art with them. Like, that was the movie the art critics liked. You never would have any other movies without that. But even that movie, I was just like, as a kid, I'm like, Superman could travel through time. Then why does anybody die? Like, you know what I mean? Like, only if Superman likes him could he go back in time and save them. But, you know, Phil Moskowitz from Mesquite, Illinois, that guy could die. Like, Superman now gets to pick and choose who dies based on if he has feelings for them.
I think the Flash handled the time travel thing a bit better.
Right.
But I'm not talking about the movie that came out a few years ago, but the story that they loosely based up on, where Barry Allen goes back in time, he saves his mom, but when he goes back to the present,
Flashpoint.
There aren't any heroes. Batman is Thomas Wayne, Martha Wayne is the Joker, Bruce Wayne got shot in the alley, and Reverse Flash is trying to stop him from going back to fix things, and the whole world is being destroyed.
Well, I don't like time travel stories where you can actually change the past.
Well,
but it was explained that that the reason so much changed from one person being saved is because Barry Allen acted like a Batman, smashed the whole timeline apart and just placed all the events. That's why so many things have changed.
So as long as they're done in a limited series or an Elseworlds series, I don't mind them. If they're done in main continuity, that's when I have issues.
Now, again, I'll be I got to come to defense to the original Superman movie. That was Superman at that time.
Right.
So
It was a great movie. Yeah.
because that's before Crisis of Infinite Earths, long before, and so that was Golden Age Superman. He could travel through time. He could lift a freaking planet and smash it between his hands. And then after Crisis of Infinite Earths, they depowered him quite a bit and they changed his superpowers a lot. Now, I was kind of happy that they didn't. There's a lot of things that happened with the Crisis of Infinite Earths that a lot of people never knew about Superman, that I'm glad that everybody glossed over. But they tried to explain why he could do the things he did. So in James Gunn movie, you'll see a lot of things that your adult brain will go, well, how did that work? Well, it's because, don't worry about it, Chief, because when they tried to fix it, it made things worse. So say a building's falling over and Superman places his two tiny hands in the middle of that building. There is no way that small amount can handle the weight of the entire building. It would crumble around.
John and I have been through this conversation many, many, many times.
Yeah. So they changed it to where Superman's actually psychic, telekinetic.
That's the inspiration for the Patriarch right there.
Right. He holds the building together, and that's why he can. He can fly because he's levitating his body. Right. Well, the problem is that's not as cool as him being frickin' strong and don't worry about it, Chief. And so Superman is easily the superhero that is don't freaking worry about it, right? That's not the point. The point is he can lift a building, don't worry about the physics of it.
Right.
And
I would just go with the rule of cool and because I said so.
Right, yeah. And,
that's why.
And now, as far as James Gunn and the DCU in the future, here's my biggest concern. DC Comics is way different than Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics was created, the majority of superheroes and canon was created by a handful of people. Stan Lee and then Steve Ditko and a few other guys. And anyways, I'm not going to try to name them because I'll forget. So a very small group of people created the entire Jack Kirby created the entire universe, and then other people made derivatives, Venom and Wolverine and stuff like that. But generally, it was a very small group of guys. DC's wildly different. It was very isolated art teams who were each one had an insane story about. The Jerry Siegel and the other dude, the Superman guys. Then you have Bob Kane and Bill Finger and their whole crazy thing. Then you have the inventor of the lie detector test that was in a polygamous relationship with two women and created Wonder Woman. He was
whose weakness was she became weak and tied her up.
Right.
So she was in bondage in every issue.
It was insane. Well, then only later, after really Marvel came out, I mean, they did a few crossovers, but when Marvel came out and said all of our superheroes exist in New York City together and from the scratch, DC started to go, well, that's kind of cool. So they started trying to merge their heroes into one universe. Well, that's a different recipe than Marvel. Marvel, you put everything in the bowl and cook it together. DC is you have insane chefs cook independently, and then you put those ingredients together and watch the fireworks of combining completely different projects together. So that's where I'm hoping that James Gunn doesn't get too heavy-handed with every hero, because every hero shouldn't be handled. I think he handled Superman very well.
And what works for Superman doesn't work for Batman.
Doesn't work. I would love to see the Batman just enter the the Gunn Superman universe, because that's the dynamic in the comics that I loved as a kid. Was when you have Superman, I got the American flag, and all of a sudden Batman comes in and he's all like anal retentive and crazy. He's a psychopath, and that is And you think about in Marvel, there's some of that, and sometimes you do have to shift characters a little bit to mesh. But like Punisher, when you're reading a Punisher, your moral standards are completely different than when you read Spider-Man, right? You go, yeah, get him, Punisher. But if Spider-Man picked up a machine gun and started gunning down people, you'd go, no, Spider-Man, that's wrong. Yet that Black Venom stuff making you horrible, right? We shift. Now, imagine taking those contrasting moral things that the story makes you, changes your beliefs to fit their narrative. Imagine when you combine those and the contrast of you thinking it's okay for Batman to do this, but Superman needs to behave differently. When they're in the same movie, you're being pulled in both directions and you kind of choose one over the other. And if the writer can stay out of that battle, right? Frank Miller, like, he was more willing to say Superman's a freaking stooge and Batman's going to murder him with his bare hands.
Yeah.
But
I disagree a little bit. I still think like the Batman movie, the Tim Patterson movie. That's my favorite Batman movie, but I still have problems with it because it's still not Batman. It's the closest to Batman.
Right, it's the closest we got.
Batman's not a tank who stands there and absorbs bullets.
Right.
When they shot at Batman, they should have been like, where'd he go? Where'd he go?
And what Tony was saying, I do agree with that to a certain point. It's when they try to play them on the same bill. Yeah, they muddle it up. Certain writers can do opposite characters pretty well. If you guys remember the Spider-Man Wolverine comic that came out in the 80s.
Yeah, when Ned Leeds died.
Yeah. That was a perfect example of Wolverine's a prick. And Wolverine has always been a prick. Spider-Man is the kid next door. And it's you got this cold-hearted assassin who doesn't give a shit about anybody, and a kid who cares too much about everybody. And it's a life and death situation, and somebody dies. And I loved that comic because it shows the two different personalities that all superheroes do not get along, but they do have to work together. I was
going to say, I think that for let the Tim Patterson Batman movie be its own thing. Like, I don't think that movie was made with children in mind. Would you take your kids to see that Batman movie? Like,
hell no.
Like, I'm talking children, like 10 years old and younger.
Yeah, I don't think it crossed the line, though. In the same way, I would say the same thing about the Batman comics I grew up on. They were as dark as the Batman, and the Supermans of the time were not. They were more suitable for younger audiences. But
right, and that's why comics, I think, are dying, because we need to get kids like, ultimately these are children's comics. They're Scooby-Doo characters.
Well, a little bit.
I'm not saying make them pandering and silly for children, but we gotta.
But, DC.
Well, I've got a better idea. I mean, I would identify a series of characters, and then put in arbitrary age ranges. So, Superman should almost always be for all ages, and then as you move up to the next age bracket, which would be 12 plus, you write the stories for that kind of audience, people who are 12 and older. And then you have the adult stories for people 18 plus and older. And my idea would be this. As one generation grows up, they move on to the next age bracket. So they start getting into new characters, which means they'll buy the back issues and omnibus volumes. And then as soon as they grow up into adults, they'll be more into the adult stories. And then they'll hit that point where they get nostalgic for the older stories and go back and pick up where they left off, collecting the older issues.
I still think mainstream Marvel and DC, they should write their comics like Chuck Dixon's, like for a precocious 10-year-old. Like, you were holding up Harry Potter earlier, and I was going to make the point, and then I got distracted and forgot. Harry Potter was.
I was going to make the point as well. It's like a child could read these, an adult can read these, and we can get two different experiences from them.
I'm not a big fan of the movies. The movies did the best they could, because these are Bible sized.
Especially of this one.
Yeah,
there's a plot hole in the movies which doesn't make sense.
Right.
It's to do with them how they
don't even tell you who the Half-Blood Prince is. The name of the movie is and in the movies you don't know who the Half-Blood Prince is. They just leave out the whole point of the book in the movie. But anyway, the books were written for children,
do.
and they
Official
age up
Snape
at-
says he does. He is.
What's that?
I'm pretty sure Snape says that he
I
is
think
the
at the end of the
Half-Blood
movie,
Prince.
I'm the Half-Blood Prince. Ta-da! There's no explanation, no reason why, you know. But anyway, the Harry Potter books were written for children, but adults can watch them. Bugs Bunny cartoons, there's a reason why they lasted for 70 years. You could watch them as a kid, and you could laugh at the jokes later. The best Disney cartoons adults are watching, and kids like The Incredibles. Did anybody watch The Incredibles? And
Oh yeah.
they'd be like, man, that movie should have been written for no.
You read the best Fantastic Four movie ever written?
Yeah, the best Fantastic Four movie. So I think Batman, Superman, they should, if children can't put their, like, my wife and I sat in Superman, and a whole road next to us was kids, and she looked at me and was like, oh man. And then I felt bad. I'm like, we're two adults getting mad that little kids are sitting next to us in a Superman movie theater. But once the movie came on, they sat and were enthralled to the whole movie. Weren't making, they were cheering and everything. So,
I think you can, much like DC Comics, because I mean, when I was growing up, as like about 8 years old, it was Norm Brayfogle and I think Alan Grant's run on Batman, which was it set that tone of dark Batman.
right.
And we had just gotten over Crisis of Infinite Earths, which was incredibly dark because you saw for the first time heroes losing everything.
Yeah, they lost bad.
And then DC kind of went into that, and you had Frank Miller, his rise in DC with Batman Year One and stuff that took this more serious tone, but it was it was mainly isolated to Batman. Outside of that, Superman stayed pretty much Superman. They did the death of Superman and a bunch of stupid crap, but that in its way was still, there's two Superman and they're two different colors. Buy both action figures and crap like that. I wouldn't say that was necessarily adult storytelling. But whenever Batman, there's different Batman. So even in one canon, you have solo Batman. He's always dark. He's always the Batman. And I'm going to punch people in the face. But the second the Justice League calls on that very exact same Batman and he shows up next to Superman, he's a little bit different. He becomes actually more like Reed Richards. So suddenly his personality has shifted to match the Justice League. Batman is he's kind of a neurodivergent, like hyper-focused, and all the other heroes are like, why is that guy so serious and weird? But he's not the guy when he's by himself. But you also have the Bat family Batman. So you have solo Batman just angry within the rain by himself. Robin, Batgirl, Nightwing show up. Suddenly he's a father figure. Now he's not the guy he seconds before was. He's this family guy who's trying to build a family that was ripped from him as a child, right? Suddenly there's a different tone and a different theme to him when you add those people. So in my opinion, the Batman yes, I agree that Batman's never been fully Batman. He's always, like in the movies, he's always armored. It's always about gadgets, which he never had gadgets until the movies. He had a Batarang, which was a boomerang with a rope that doesn't work. Like, I don't know if you know physics or not, but if you have a boomerang and you tie a rope to the center, that rope's just going to wrap up around the thing. It doesn't spin independently. Anyways, so they replaced that with the grappling hooks, and he's over time become more like the movies. Having said that, you could make the Batman, his solo is, of course, before Superman even happens. But you could have Patterson show up, have his suit adapted a little more softer to match the theme, not so harsh. And have his personality shift accordingly to to make sense within that. Because they'll have to if they ever introduce Robin or any of those other characters. And I think it would be best for Matt Reeves to focus on his solo Batman trilogy if we ever even get a second movie. Whereas then him and Gunn can work together to say, okay, after the Batman ends, Superman shows up, there's Robins, there's all this stuff. It gets far more fantastical. Matt Reeves don't have to deal with that. He's merely sitting the Frank Miller Batman Year One tone, which in the comics, that is the Batman. This very grounded, almost super villains.
I'm like hamstrung because I can't talk because I don't want to spoil it for Arkham. But just keep in mind, this James Gunn movie, this was the Bwahaha Justice League, the JMD Keith Giffen era.
Yeah. Justice League Europe and International is the most underrated series. I never hear anybody talk about them up until recently because of Superman's movie. I'm sorry, if you want to read Justice League, that's written well, funny as hell, and has story arcs, pick up International in Europe. You will not be disappointed. Is it David Keith? No, that's the actor. Keith Griffin, is that what his name was? The writer?
Keith Giffen, J. Mateus. They were the writers.
Hilarious.
Wire was the art.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
So
it was
good.
funny, but it wasn't over the top funny. It was a, what was it?
One punch.
Yeah. It had some scary kind of issues.
Mm-hmm.
My big problem with it was Captain Marvel didn't last in it too long. He's one of my favorites. At this point, we got a whole bunch of people watching. I'd just like to remind everybody that the whole purpose of this is, I thought it was closing today at 8 o'clock. It's closing tomorrow at 8 o'clock. So this is the not quite so closeout stream. So back Heroic Tales, we just hit 5,000. Oh, we lost Tonic Ball. Tonic, come back, Tonic. We just hit 5,000, which means I'm going to release the next stretch goal card, which is the Subterranean. And if you're watching this and you're confused by my cards, I feel the need to point out. Here's Dr. Robug card. On the back, this is the character sheet for a role-playing game, Villains Vigilantes. A couple of people were like, I didn't like your this. And I'm like, sorry, maybe I didn't explain it too well. But if you play the role-playing game, Villains and Vigilantes, this is a character sheet. So you could take this card and use it to play the role-playing game, Villains and Vigilantes. And it was done, dated on purpose to look like, because my comic book is, the whole premise of it is it's supposed to be an 80s comic, and it's supposed to be as if you're playing an 80s role-playing game, Villains and Vigilantes. So the fact that people are like, oh, it looks like it came out in the 80s. Bingo, it worked.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes, this is a schemes and scams. We've been fooled. It's one day later. Yeah. So Oscar, congrats. Oscar colored it as usual. Oscar is so freaking talented. I mentioned before Daniel De Silva Rodriguez, who's the colorist on the Patriarch. He was incommunicado for about 2 weeks because his father just had open heart surgery. He just reached out to me today. He says his father's having remarkable recovery.
Good to hear that.
He said he wanted to apologize. I said, don't apologize. Take care of your dad. Take care of your dad. That's more important.
Family always comes first, brother.
Yeah. So it is being colored. Renzo is done. The art for Heroic Tales 2 is complete. He's actually starting Patriarch number 1. He's just doing. I'm like hemming and hawing because I want to talk about this, but I don't want to talk about it.
You want to give away too much?
Because he's doing a promo poster that him and Oscar are working on together for a project that I've been hinting at for a long time, but it's almost at the point where I'm going to announce it. But Tonic pushed the button by accident. Yeah, I've done that before. I'm at the point where I'm almost ready to announce it, but I want to see, because Oscar's going to paint it. If anybody got Rome Eternal, oh my God, Rome Eternal, so good, and the Diamond Implosion kind of effed that comic over. I hope that Humberto comes back and finishes that. But Oscar he digitally painted it, so I asked if he could do that for this project because it's mythological and historical. So I kind of wanted to look, and so Renzo has to draw it in a different style. So we're working on that. So that's what he's doing right now. I would be remiss in my duty if I didn't help a buddy out. And Tonic Bull, like it or not, is my buddy. He's got his project. the Tonic Ball Saving the World on Kickstarter right now. He just did the Omni Bust, which was the first 12 issues in one. I love Tonic. Nobody writes Tonic. Nobody writes dialogue like Tonic Ball.
I am the greatest dialogue writer in all of comic books.
When I sent the script to Eddie Astube, Tonic said, do you mind if I tweak some dialogue? I was like, please do. Please do. I'm not a tyrant. I'm not a tyrant. Yes, I agree with Admiral Wackass. Renzo does fantastic work. It's funny because in this comic, we have Renzo's beautiful artwork colored by Daniel De La Silva Rodriguez, and we have Oscar's beautiful work colored by Oscar. Renzo's beautiful artwork colored by Oscar Carano. And we also have Renzo drawing in a different style, just 2 pages of something that I wanted to add to the comic. I'll be hush about that. So he did a completely different style for something else. And now I'm asking him if he could do another kind of different art style for like a more like historical, like almost like a wood carving kind of art style that could be painted by Oscar. So we're trying that out. If it works good, maybe within the month, I'll be announcing my other project that is, it's going to be so good. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so good that we're going to make up an award show, and I'm going to give myself all the awards, because that's kind of what we do here in independent comics, right?
We pat ourselves on the back very, very well.
Yeah. Oh, DCC, just back to join the first one. The art is great by Renzo. Yes. Let's hit refresh. So
When did I back it?
yay! Will you still leave me? Will you still believe me? Will you still love me when I'm on 164? Thank you. Nice subtle jab. What was I going to say? It's been no secret, but I'm ready to launch on Kickstarter. I'm going to wait till this campaign is closed. Like, I could just hit the button and launch on Kickstarter, but I want to do that when this is officially closed, because Luke Stone, the owner of Fund My Comic, has been nothing but a gentleman. I took him aside. Well, I took him aside. I called him up and asked him, would you be upset if I went on Kickstarter? When this is done, he said, no, John, you got to make that money, because he actually cares about the creators, So it's going to be called the Warlock Award. No, we'll call it the Witchcraft Awards. I've invaded the chat. Tonic Ball forever. Tonic Ball is super talented. Anyway, I just wanted to remind everybody why we're here. Back this. The next campaign will be Patriarch number 1. It's going to be in 3 parts. I sent Renzo the script already. He started working on that. While Renzo started working on that, I was asked to provide a 12-page story for an existing comic book that's already in comic book stores, their character meeting my characters, and of course I said yes. That's got a deadline because it's going to be in real comic book stores. So we're going to work on that 12-page story next, and then go back to the Patriarch. So however long it takes, Renzo, I just need to get my script approved by and I'm telling you that I'm making it, but I'm not telling you who, what, when, where, and how.
No, let's be surprised.
Yeah, because I want to build up suspense, and I want to make sure that they like my script. Maybe my script will be crap. Who knows? It's really daunting to write someone else's character and then give it to that person. Go, do you like what I did with your character? It's funny because my first draft was just like, my character just gets rescued by your heroes, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I had to come up with a way that they're both, equal. Like, you don't do a DC Marvel comic and all the DC guys beat the Marvel characters and save the day.
I had that same. I did number 8 of Saving the World was a crossover with a bunch of other people's characters, but there was 2. It was mainly Rags and Saving the World. And when writing it, you have to make certain the other person's character is treated equally.
Correct.
And so it's a little complex of a balance. And so I ended up, I think the other creator I think they liked it enough. They're a lot more like anal retentive about guns and stuff, where I'm not. So I gave her this, like, my favorite gun is the, it's like a 50 cal, the gun that like they used in World War II, like the Nazis, but it's this massive rifle that can fire 50 caliber rounds like crazy, but a little older than the modern one that they use on the sides of helicopters. So anyways, I was like, that'd be badass if she held that thing with one arm going ga 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 ga. Well, he was kind of like, what the hell? That gun is like from the 40s. I was like, yeah, but it looks cool. So, but other than that, yeah, but it is funny when you write for other people's heroes and you're trying to be faithful but work within your will box that you have in your head.
Well, I Lily and Walt Wapet are in Heroic Tales 2.
Yeah.
And that was fun to write their dialogue. You know, that was really fun. They may or not be in the comic, but then again, you could say that with Lily and Walt Wapet.
Yeah, that well, that's funny. We're talking about Superman. Oh, he's too powerful. Well, that was a thing with saving the world. Was I always disagreed that omnipotence equals, oh, that's unwritable. Superman is a great example. Yeah, that MG42. Thank you, sir. That's the gun. So with Superman, okay, let's say he's invulnerable. I felt he was a little too weak in gun Superman. He got beat up too much. But besides the point, with Superman, one of my favorite plot lines of his origin was when, especially in the original movie, I can't remember, the comic switches back and forth, so it's hard to say. But in that movie, when John Kent dies, and there's nothing Superman can do. Superman is invincible. You can't shoot him, you can't stab him, you can't defeat him, and he's super strong. He can lift anything. He can't stop the inevitable, though, and he can't protect those around him forever. He can protect himself forever, but his own body is not his weakness. It's the bodies around him. It's that he loves the people around him. So his greatest weakness is his connection to people.
Right. That was the speech with Lois Lane that I don't want to spoil, but that was the moment I decided I loved the movie.
Yeah.
That speech, and I really liked the less is more.
Right. And John dies in this movie.
Lois Lane. A lot of people have been quoting that. See, I'll just say it's the.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about this movie.
Oh, Man of Steel.
So no spoiler alert. This is all about the old one in the 70s.
Oh, yeah. Getting back to omnipotence, you brought up a good point there, Tonic. We used to love all-powerful characters. Look at Doc Savage. Doc Savage is the original Mary Sue. The Shadow was the original Mary Sue, to the point where now everybody's raving about that show, Reacher.
Right.
Reacher, yeah, what's his name? The guy who created Reacher, he said, I want to make a character. He didn't say Mary Sue, but he was thinking of it. That's better than everybody else. Like, You think you're an expert in this? Well, this guy's better than that. Like he said, wouldn't it be funny if I made a character who was already better than the bad guys? He just needs to figure out what you're doing to beat you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's called a Mary Sue. And he made it. And we love that character. So, like, I wanted to make a Mary Sue character that I kind of wanted to make a Mary Sue that would be likable, to prove that it
well, you did make a Mary Sue.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Somebody on Twitter was making fun of me today. I'm like,
oh, did
he? Yeah.
No, and see, that's the biggest confusion people have. They come up with a term for something specific and then don't realize its broader concepts of, for instance, Batman. So Batman can defeat any superhero no matter how much power they have from pre-planning? Yeah, because he's badass. Reacher's the same. He can punch anybody in the face and get all the ladies? Yeah, because he's badass. A Mary Sue, the only thing that makes them different from the coolest characters ever is that the writer fails to make the viewer feel that they deserve that, right? And
Batman kind of feels like a Mary Sue lately. He really does.
And it's kind of inherent to his, even in Batman versus Superman, he just takes down Superman.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he is. But that's some of his coolest stories is when he overcomes these, these huge gaps. But for Batman, he's our stand-in in the Justice League, right? Everybody's aliens or something. Batman's us. So when we see Batman beat the shit out of Superman, we're like, hell yeah, I'm awesome. And so it's like, go humans.
I was always the opposite. I was like, there's no way Batman can beat Superman. I don't care how much prep time you give him. Impossible.
Oh yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It makes no sense.
And
I've got a way for him to beat Superman. First off, he throws a smoke bomb, but in it are tiny little shards of kryptonite.
Right.
Then he has two knuckle dusters with kryptonite infused into them, and he draws the attention to the knuckle dusters, but not the smoke bomb.
I gotta say
And
this
beats
though.
Superman to an inch of his life.
I'm a little bit too logical. Okay, so Superman is Superman, and all of a sudden he feels the kryptonite radiation. Just fly away,
Yeah, he can jump out of the way so quickly. He moves at the speed of light.
and then shoot some heat vision at the. You know what I mean? Like, in order for Superman to be beaten by kryptonite, he has to be taken by surprise. It has to be unaware. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
again,
that's what I mean with the knuckle dusters. You draw the attention to knuckle dusters.
but as soon as the cloud pops,
Okay, so it must be the knuckle
That's
dusters.
why it makes kryptonite with lead particles, so that way you can't touch it.
there you go. There you go. That's.
now,
I want to bring up this before I forget about it. There was a really good comment in the chat. And of course, Olo Febi. Did you hear about the Indiegogo takeover? Did you guys hear about this?
No.
Oh, I heard something about it. Which company was
What
it?
is it? Backer Kit or I forget. I think it's Backer. Somebody correct me in the chat. But Indiegogo was just bought out, and I think it was by Backer Kit. And I'm familiar with Backer Kit because I've been crowdfunding board games for a long time. And there was this company called CMON, Cool Media Not, and they would is it GameFound or Backer? I think it's Backer Kit. If anybody, it is GameFound. Okay, it's GameFound. But you would play, and then you would go there, and they had impeccable customer service. So I had a problem, or I missed a pledge, or I filled out something wrong. They would email me, like there's literally a person in a room, and they figured out, oh, this John's Longbox guy pledged something. There's a problem, and I get an email. This is GameFound. You messed up. We can't ship your pledge because of this, and blah blah blah. Indiegogo, I still think that Indiegogo was like one guy. He turned on a computer and then left, and it just let it be like passive ink. Like it just seemed like there was nobody you could talk to. So I'm excited for this. A few people, I know a lot of people. John Delarose is a controversial figure. Love him, hate him, it doesn't matter. But he emailed and got a reply within an hour. I challenge anybody to get in their time machine, go back 3 weeks ago, and email Indiegogo, and see if you get a reply ever. So I'm kind of excited that there's now human beings that you can interact with at Indiegogo. I think of this only as a good thing. Now, I do know that crowdfund would not let you have 1 billion open campaigns with their board game campaigns. I think you're allowed to have 2, maybe 3. I don't know, and don't quote me. You know, I think so. I think there's going to be a little bit of accountability. They also had a bunch of companies go out, like Cool Media Not is like wavering on the edge of going bankrupt because they've been doing their crowdfunds a little bit wrong. So I think
their distribution has been shit. As you know, you and I both have bought CMON games.
That's right. I forgot. Yeah, you're right behind you. You got your.
Yeah, I got the. I mean, I've done all their Court Death May Die. I've done all their Zombicides. I've done a lot of the CMON stuff. Their what was the one with the light and the darkness? I think it's just called Darkness and Light or something like that.
Massive Darkness.
Yeah, Massive Darkness. Love the first one. The second one sucked. The first one was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just after a while, I saw the way they started staggering their goals for their Kickstarters. They were getting worse and worse with every release. The time periods were getting worse, and delivery and even just the satisfaction of customers has just gone down over the last 4 years badly.
I was personal friends. Well, personal friends is probably too much, but it was a guy that I met at game conventions, like board games with, who was one of the customer service representatives at GameFound. And he was a cool guy. You know, he still recognizes me. So he doesn't work for the company anymore. So I'm going to reach out to him and see what he thinks. You know, I think it's only a good thing. I think GameFound is positive. They're pleasant. They care. It's not. It is their fault, but it's not their fault that some of the companies they're playing. That is still a factor in crowdfunding, but for the most part, I think this is only going to be positive. So,
what I don't get is crowdfunding, in my opinion, anyways. Don't get me wrong. This isn't me saying this is the way it should be. But crowdfunding is more for people like you and I, John, Tony, everybody else, who we're not big wigs. We don't have financial backings, and we don't have a lot of things. So it's for people like us to get help and to create things we want to. CMON should not have to crowdfund. They are an established company with millions of dollars of revenue.
They were on the stock market.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Heinz Ketchup is crowdfunding their next brand of ketchup. They don't have to anymore.
Right.
I agree with you. I mean, I'm of the opinion if you want to crowdfund. Who am I to say you can't do it and who can't do it? Right. And I also don't think because there was a couple of people that opened up their crowdfund and then they found out that CMON did their crowdfund at the same. I'm like, they didn't take your money. You know what I mean? People who have the luxury of a board game or a comic book, it's not like they only have $25 for 6 months to fund. They'll fund you if they like you. So I find that to be like crybaby behavior. Oh, he launched the same night as me. I just don't want to launch in the indie scene with somebody else because this is kind of small, but I'll wait a week or two. You're not taking my money,
Right.
I think it's good. I think it's good that we're going to get human interaction. And like I said, I was, when I say close personal friends, I realized I was exaggerating. A guy I played board games with 4 or 5 times.
A buddy.
He's been on my channel. I've been on his channel. We talked a few times. He still recognizes me when I pop up into his chat. He asks me how I'm doing. So I think that is good, that there's going to be human beings. And here is a person who is an extreme human being.
That's what I've been told.
Known as Marcus Kellerbrew.
See, that's what I've been told. How are you guys doing?
Good.
How are you doing?
How are you doing on the not closeout stream? Because I'm an idiot.
I know. Well, I said, I got to be on in an hour anyway. I might as well show up now.
So, what do you think?
You
about
look clean shaven. I think you look younger.
It's funny because my wife.
I'm not surprised. I've been in that position.
My wife came
in that position
home,
where stuff is dripping.
but she didn't bother me because she knew I was streaming. She only came down when the thunder caused a circuit breaker to trip. And I asked her, I go, what do you think? She goes, I hate it, but flip a circuit breaker, the air conditioning is off. so we'll talk later. But she goes, I don't blame you.
Back. I mean,
I was getting like cranky even beforehand. Just
I'm cranky all the time. I'm nice on stream. I'm cranky most of the time.
Sometimes at work you got to crawl, because you got to get the wires in through anywhere. Like it's got to be done. You know what I mean? And
I've been there. I've been there at people's homes, at people's houses, under houses a lot.
My new partner
in New York is above house, overhead. So you climb the pole and you run the wire, but here everything's a lot of underground and there's no basements. There's not a lot of basements in the South. It's crawl spaces.
Crawl spaces.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't do that anymore. So, I drive a lot. I don't do a lot of work. I used to.
My partner is 59 years old, so I'm the youngin again. So I'm crawling, and I'm on a new job. I'm on my best behavior, so I'm crawling around.
He's my age then.
So like my beard stunk because it's the basement of a building, and it just I don't know if it was psychological. And then the tar, I was like, that's it.
But
I gotta go that, and I've been reading a lot of Mr. X comics.
I've been listening. Anyway.
Fiendish 3 is on Indiegogo right now. Will Sweeney fund my comic? I don't know if it'll come, but back Fiendish. Fiendish is a great comic. I really, really enjoy it.
Well, yeah, Renee's doing the art, right?
Yeah, Renee does it all.
Renee, that's her name. Yeah, I've seen her work. She's pretty damn good.
I got to remember to back my cards next time.
I'm sorry, two people talking. What was that?
You should see Renee draw.
Yeah,
I haven't watched her draw live.
It's all little lines. It's amazing.
I'm still trying to get this Photoshop stuff drawing. I'm drawing on Photoshop right now as we're talking mostly because of you, sir. You told me I had to get on the computer and start doing this stuff.
I always have something to do.
But it's a good problem to have, trying to learn new software like this.
If you have more than one campaign, you should be publishing without backing. I don't know about that.
I don't know.
I don't think
I don't know about that.
I don't think it's wrong to have two campaigns at once, with the caveat that you have a good reputation for delivering. Now, like, I don't want to mention names or anything. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but a couple of people will have a campaign for this comic, and then while that campaign is going, and maybe everything is done, they launch a campaign for another comic and then deliver. I don't have a problem with what do you call that? Leapfrogging.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, I don't want. You were the one I was talking about, but I don't want to put you on the spot.
Yeah, see, and now I would say that
the evil tonic mole. Come on.
yeah, the evil tonic mole. 'Cause- so, like, my thing is, yeah, it's a balance. For one thing, do your readers hate it? If they hate it, then you shouldn't do it.
Right.
But in the case of, like, I'll never crowdfund. Like, I'm fulfilling Saving the World number 12. I would never launch number 13, obviously, because they need to read it, have it in their hands and read it first. And so I would fulfill that. But I have a spin-off with another creator. Well, he wants his money and he's doing the art and stuff. And so that's more, he's doing most of the work. So I'll crowdfund those, but as a separate parallel line. So I don't hold up his series because I'm finishing mine. So each comic has its own rail. Now, you can certainly, I think that it's less about to a creator, I'd say don't do that until you're really, like, you have a lot under your belt. Like, I never did it until I was about on issue 10 or 11 is when I started doing more parallel crowdfunding, just because you run out of time in the year when you have so many issues to come out.
Right.
And popular demand. Like, my readers, they were wanting more comics.
They want more tonic.
Yeah, they want more comics parallel. And so I was like, okay. And so I just, do what they tell me. Now, if your fans start to get pissed off or say, why you do that? Then you got to, do what they tell you.
Whatever the customers want to, but you don't have any outstanding campaigns. You haven't been egregiously late or anything like that. For the most part, you've run 13 campaigns, and every one of them was spot on. So
I've only had one where I completely shit the bed. I got Red Sirens, which was just its own little series, and I completely dropped the ball on that. And that's where I have some sympathy for guys that, they're super late. It happens, and and that's where I say, creators have to know, because I was way too confident about how many comics I could do because I'd never been late. I had never fumbled and didn't even know what that would be like. And so I kept adding and growing until then I fumbled one hard, and I'm catching it up now. And so, yeah, you got to, don't get overly confident, but also when you do fumble, hey, it happens and you just got to get caught up.
Like the way I'm looking at, I got Heroic Tales 2. As soon as Renzo's about halfway, maybe 3/4 of the way done with the Patriarch, I'll launch the campaign on that. Now let's just pretend, for the sake of argument, Eddie is Doomed is 3/4 of the way. Would anybody get mad if I have two? Because these, to me, it's two different teams, so I could manage, two campaigns.
I think
So-
that's your strength, John.
I don't think people get mad about. Yeah, I don't think people get mad about that. Oh, yo, what's up, guys? Good to talk to all of you. I think this is the first time I've ever seen Marcus.
Hey, how you doing?
Yo,
I've been on here before. I'm on the studio every week.
So what do you think?
I just try to stay out of trouble, as you know.
yeah, hard to do these days.
Yes, it's very difficult.
So, Admiral, what do you think about that? Like, first off, do you have any campaigns or anything?
No. Fucking, I'm a writer. All my writing shit I do under a different name. Nowhere near the shit show. Sorry. Sorry to call it a shit show, but you know.
So
Yeah.
what do you think? Do you think it's a problem if people have two campaigns at the same time?
Yeah, so here's the thing. Like, I don't give a fuck if you have two campaigns. If you're someone who fulfills all your campaigns, you get stuff done on time, everything comes out by the date that you set for the thing, that's totally fine. You know, I get it. People have small amounts of funds to work with, thin margins. I get it. But the problem is that the majority, I would say like 99% of people that put out two campaigns at the same time, they do not fall into that category. And also, the people that put out two campaigns at the same time, they don't fall into that category. And they should also fall into the category where they have made enough money that they should be in pre-order status. They should not be relying on crowdfunding to create their stuff.
About that.
You know, I mean,
Oh, let me turn on
crowdfunding is a very, very, very specific thing. Like, it is the use cases for crowdfunding historically, as I've seen it throughout my lifetime, have been, we have a giant video game type thing we need to create, and we have all the people that would normally work on it within a studio, but we don't have the money to pay them. So we're going to crowdfund a bunch of money to get this thing done. And then they monomaniacally work upon that one project with everyone's money.
That's a good
And
word.
then, yeah, and then the other use case for it is, hey, we're like a band that no one knows about, and we just need like $2,000 for some studio time to record this thing, you know? And those are, when I came into crowdfunding in the early days, that is how people crowdfunded. You know, they're like, hey, listen, making a video game, it takes, you know, at least like $1 to $2 million. Like, you guys all know us from working on X, Y, and Z. Just to use the example of the first thing that I ever crowdfunded in my life, Pillars of Eternity, it was the entire team that worked on Baldur's Gate 2. And they were like, hey, we're making a new game. It's going to take at least $1 million. Like, we're going to put this out here, crowdfund. If the fans want us to do it, we're going to do it. And that's what happened. They ended up getting like $3 million on that thing, and they expanded the hell out of the game for every single person, and they were super fucking grateful. The other people, that was on Kickstarter, the other people that I knew that crowdfunded around that same time, which would have been around like, I don't know, 2012 to 2014, something like that, they used crowdfunding on Indiegogo because they were like a small punk band out of Chicago. And they were like, hey man, we just need like $2,000 to $4,000 for studio time, and then we can create this entire project. You know, and they would either get it or they wouldn't, and then they would create the project. So like, that's the people that should be crowdfunding. When you have an unattainable obstacle to creating the product, or when you are an up and coming person that just needs the seed funding to do a project, but you have enough fans that actually believe in your stuff to do it. And what's happened is that there are all these bleed off people from the actual industry that creates the thing that just want to sit on your money and live off of it. And so the moment I see that someone has more than one crowdfund, that's like a no for me. Because if you have enough money and you came from the industry where you were supposed to be doing the thing as a living, and you can't get it done, especially in something like comics, where they're really, if you look at it, the overhead for comics, if you're an artist who can write, yeah, it's what you got to pay for, maybe a letterer, probably not even if you're an artist who can write. So your overhead is marketing and your fulfillment, essentially. You know, so paying taxes and getting everything shipped out.
The costs would be the cost of printing your comic,
Right.
the cost of getting your shipping materials, the cost of shipping it, and you start work on the next project.
Yeah, but
They
so
also have the costs of renting out a facility to fulfill.
I don't see myself crowdfunding forever. You know,
yeah,
either I won't be popular enough to continue doing it, or I'll be successful enough that I can leave and do something like Arkham and I were talking about get company CMON. CMON made a couple of $1 million on its first crowdfund, and then it made more millions on its second. And if anybody heard of the game Zombicide, they made a fortune on that. But what they did was they spent all that money, and what they needed to do, they did it ass backwards. But what I did was I took money and I laid out for issue 1, and now issue 1 paid for issue 2. Issue 2 is paying for issue 3. So I have a job. You know what I mean? I'm living on my job, and crowdfunding is helping me do this. But CMON did it backwards. They raised all that money, and then they hired people. They bought offices. They bought whatever. They did all this, and then they needed to do the next crowdfund to pay for the crowdfund that they wasted the money. They were always chasing the dragon, and now it's catching up to them because each crowdfund is doing less and less and less and less. And I think
and their delivery, they're not delivering either. That's the big problem too.
Right. Yeah. It's funny because a package showed up like a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, "What the hell is this?" It was from 5 years ago that I literally had forgotten about. Like I stopped checking. But I think that's the problem. Once all the major crowdfunder guys started saying this is to pay my bills while I'm making the comic, I was like, that means you're spending the money before the product is made. That's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, imagine you get a job. Imagine you get a job, and up front they're telling you, "Hey, I'm gonna pay you $60K over the year," and you go out and spend $20K, fucking trying to. I mean, it's mostly frivolous shit. You know, we've seen what people spend their money on. But let's give them the benefit of the doubt and even say they're reinvesting that money in their company. It's like you still haven't realized the profit from the original investment of all these people that gave you their money, you know? And that's the problem. It's like you have to work based upon your net rather than your gross, you know? And when you tell a backer or anyone who actually has, you know, anything going on between their 2 ears that you're going to live off the fucking money, I mean, that's like such a red flag.
Or I'm going to mute you.
Sorry.
Like you can't. Again, we talked about Rob Hunter. That's what started my whole controversy, and I wasn't trying to be a jerk.
Rob Hunter hurt. You know, that he was trying to be. I'm from the mainstream. But he was just a mainstream inker, and he's not a mainstream penciler or creator or writer. Say Rob wasn't Graham, Rob isn't Andy, you know, Rob isn't Aaron, you know, or Rob isn't Brian Polito, and so he didn't wait to see how much he made on his first crowdfund. Of course, the money he made should have plenty of money for his comic, but. You know, now he has a job. He should have had a job at the same time. I know that he stopped doing it and took inking work while he was doing it because he had to. But, you know, like I work all day, and that was the mistake. The other guys that are bigger, most of them do one at a time. Maybe not the biggest one, but the other one, you know, the ones I mentioned. Most of it's one at a time, and they do take the profit. As the first one comes in, they pay themselves a page rate, but that's part of, like, they would pay a penciler a page rate. Now, if it was me, because I'm so small, if I'm not paying myself. You know, you hope you make some money. So it's a little different. The crowdfund to me is really for John wants to make a comic. This has already happened, right? John wants to make a comic. He has a dream to make a comic. And he doesn't have enough money to make a comic, so he crowdfunds the comic. That's kind of how it is. Whether the pros were supposed to be making this much on it, what's supposed to, like, you know, I'm not sure what the deal is, you know, but
I don't care if the pros do it. I don't care. Anybody do a crowdfund for whatever reason you want, because
right. I guess that you're absolutely right about that, John.
The fans will decide if they want to support it or not.
Yeah.
And if you want to spend that money, like you make $100 a day for 3 months, and then you want to spend that, that's also up to you. I don't really care. But what I'm saying is, there's unforeseen circumstances. You could hit a tree and break your neck and be out of work for 6 months. You could not.
You could die of COVID. Oh, I did that.
What if you get cancer? What if there's a tornado and your house gets blown down? You know what I mean? So the way I look at it is, you don't touch that money. Like, you pay your expenses, you pay your inker, you pay the preprint.
Right. That's what it's for.
You
To
pay
pay,
for,
I'm talking about paying
mailers.
inker, paying the colors, the production of the comic. That I am talking about.
But there is no money for you until that last comic is in the backer's hand, and then
Right. To buy contract.
that's when you can start living off that money. Because
Here's the way I look at it is, if I donate money to, and sometimes it is a donation, it feels like you're not actually purchasing anything. But if I'm giving you money,
It's a donation.
I expect, when you said you're making a comic book, I expect that comic book. I'm not giving you money for you to have the chance to make that comic book. No,
Right.
it is for that comic book. I've heard that excuse from a lot of creators. Like, no, the money that's given to us is for the ability to do so. It's like, no, they are expecting that book. Stop bullshitting yourself. Stop bullshitting your audience. Nobody's going, I don't want the book, keep the money. Not one soul. Now,
if I thought of this as a donation, I would be asking for more than $10 for a comic book. This is a transaction.
and the thing is, like, both you and Robert, you guys have very accessible comic books, right? We're talking about $35 shipping, $35 plus shipping books. I admit I did Eric's just like a lot of people did, but the way I looked at Eric's first book is I looked at it like, I'm investing in this guy's business. I want him to succeed. I want that. And I knew there was a chance I might not get that book. Now, book 2, 3, Yara, all that, I better be getting those books on time every time, right? That's my expectations now.
I mean,
Other people need to start following up on those and not be 5 years late. That's
If you, I mean, do you honestly think, Phil Moskowitz, my imaginary comic book pro, Phil Moskowitz, he won the Eisner Award in the 90s. He worked for Image Comics. Phil Moskowitz. Now he's crowdfunding, and he flat out says, this is to pay my living expenses while I work on this book. Will the work comic? I don't know. Yeah, you could say that, but do you really think that customers will be there for 7 years, 8 years in a row when they never got anything? Like, it's just.
yeah, if they never got anything.
Right. So to me, it's just like you got to drop that whole pretense of, oh, you're just helping me. No, it's like, dude, I'm making a book. I heard people like telling me, well, the D'Amicis funded Leonardo da Vinci when he was working, and Michelangelo when he was. Yeah, well, that's good for them. They're trillionaires. They had, and they could afford to whatever. I'm a working class guy. Like, I'm sorry, dude, I got bills to pay. Get up off your ass, mow lawns, do work. Get a job at a Home Depot, work in a supermarket, and then come home and do your art. Art is supposed to be something that you have a burning desire to create, not just like, oh, support me, I'm an artist. That's like children with communism. Oh, when communism comes, I'm going to sit by the beach and write poetry. Well, when crowdfunding comes, I'm going to sit in my basement, smoke cigars, and draw a pretty pic. No, it's still capitalism. It's still a transaction. Get off your produce.
No, I said that.
Exactly.
I said that. I think that, I'd be more like, I could never do two things. I can barely walk and chew gum. There's no way I would personally ever.
Well, yeah, I would never put out Heroic Tales issue 3 and 4 and expect Renzo to work. You know what I mean? Like, this will be 4 years.
Right. So, Admiral Wackash, you definitely have a point. I'm not discounting your point whatsoever. I would probably do exactly what you said. I mean, I think that's. I don't think that's I think it's very difficult to have. For people
I
to have
just
3 campaigns at once. I think it's hard to do. I mean,
from what I have seen is, even if you are one of the top earners in crowdfunding, there's literally zero case where you should be running 2 campaigns at once, versus if you've made that amount of money and you have that amount of your production
if you're Brian
ironed
Polino,
out.
though. If you're really producing the book, you're the editor in chief.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
It's really
If you-
and now he's done it on his own. He doesn't even use Kickstarter anymore.
Yeah,
I could see that. But if you're the artist,
yeah,
and you're drawing some of these books, and you're also writing some of these books, that's really difficult. I mean, that's difficult to do and get it out. And whatever on time is, I think most people here, what's on time. If you're a month late, nobody's going to kill you as long as you let everybody know. Nobody's going to kill you for a printing problem. But if you're years and years late, you take the slings and arrows because you're years and years late. There's no excuse for that unless you get really sick and, go through a bad divorce.
Yeah.
And, you have to be honest. So in crowdfunding, you have to be more honest than honest.
Yes.
You have to let people know my back is out. I couldn't draw for 3 months. You can't be. You have to tell them your medical issues. That's the way it goes. They gave you the money. They need to know the information.
And that's why I'm saying once you reach the point where you would be actually capable of running 2 campaigns, you have the amount of funding, you have your production process ironed out to the point where you should be able to just actually put the book out and do pre-orders and things like that. Yeah. If you are capable of actually functionally running 2 campaigns at once, you should just have a functionally running business. Yeah.
I definitely see.
I can't speak about that yet because
I don't want to say I didn't see your point. That's what my thing.
No, I think we're on the same page.
Now
everybody's different. That and crowdfunding is not just a comic book problem. It's a problem for like John does games. Games are late. Books are late. Tech is late. It's all late. It's not just I think comics are better than some of the other things people.
You're right about that. Board games are. I've been waiting.
Oh, nice to see.
Board games, I've been waiting years to the point like things will show up every once in a while. My wife is like, they'll put it on the stoop in the ring. She's at work and I'm at work. She's like, there's a box on the stoop. I hope it's there by the time you get home. And I'm like, oh, I forgot I backed this 7 years ago.
We never knew.
How long does it take to make a board game? I mean, realistically.
Well, it could be complicated.
A good board game is.
Oh, yeah.
But I've waited 10 years for a board game.
Yeah, I mean, so like you come up with the rules, you play test it, and then you make the arts and the pieces, you package it, and you send it out. How long should that?
Most of the manufacturing for CMON and a lot of these games, their miniatures are made in China. So once we had to go through COVID, and then of course after COVID, people didn't know what the fuck to do with it because everybody lost their collective minds. And then of course with tariffs, that put shit on pause again for a little while. But again, it gives CMON, a lot of these companies, no excuse for being 7 years late. Just if that's a point, and no updates either. I don't think John ever got an update. I didn't get any updates. Hey, this will be out next year. Nothing. Just comes out.
Now,
I will say as a rule of thumb, and I just made this up now listening to Admiral Wackass. He made a good point. But I think if you want to make a second campaign, as long as you're not late on your first campaign, I don't have a problem with it.
Yep.
And then you deliver. And then you want to make another campaign, as long as you're not late, you know what I mean? And if you can maintain that, but if you're like egregiously late over here, don't start launching another one.
There's 2 things. Yeah, I agree with you. And there's 2 things I learned. So as a writer, John's a writer. He's got to pay everybody out. I mean, he's screwed. He pays the artist, he pays the inker, pays the letter, the colors, the preprint, everything's out. But writing is the least taxing one. Like poor Renzo is drawing, his fingers look like this, right? Because he's got to do all the artwork. But if you're an artist, you don't have to pay everybody out. Like you said before, Admiral Wackass, you might even be able to color it yourself or letter it yourself and do all that. But that takes longer time. You might not be able to have the ability to do more than one book at a time.
Right.
John, he's a writer editor. You're like, you're like a writer editor in a way. You're also packaging it all up. The artist has to do all the work. I would never do one alone. Like I have a writer, and I would never do one alone.
And like an editor, so if you're your own editor, you should be able to say, hey, this part of the production isn't working correctly. instead of going and trying to start a second campaign and get money to pay for the first one, you should say, hey, this is not fiscally viable, and we're going to do what we can to, fulfill our promises on the first one as best as we can. Because an editor, they're not going to fund something that isn't going to be possible,
Right.
So when all these people are being their own editors, but they don't want the accountability of being an editor.
I'll say this. I disagree with you a little bit. You shouldn't be your own editor, first off.
Well, I meant editor
Yeah,
as your
yeah.
producer of the comic, not editor as you're editing the actual, somebody.
The project manager.
Project manager. Okay, yeah.
Right, project manager. Yeah.
I edited my first comic and I realized there was a mistake. There was a couple of typos. There was a couple of things.
Yeah, no, I'm not talking about that type of editor.
But
Yeah. Well,
we're gonna close down.
I don't think it's a bad idea to get a fresh set of eyes.
Hold on, Creative Welshman. We're gonna stop at 8:00, so I have a half hour to eat some dinner before it's clobbering time. So we're gonna go around the panel and give everybody a chance to say something to close off. We'll start with you, Creative Welshman.
All right. I was going to say, it's not a bad idea to get somebody else to look over your work, have a fresh pair of eyes look over something, because you could be blind to your own biases.
They can close it if you want. We're closing down anyway.
And Creative Welshman, do you have anything to promote now before we've closed down?
No, nothing at the moment.
Okay.
But I should hope to have something finished by the end of the summer.
Yeah, I know some of the things you've been sending me. Looks really cool. Arkham, anything you want to say and anything you want to promote?
You guys had me. I'm starting on the book now. You guys kicked me in the ass enough times about it. And not only that, I'll give you a quick flash of it, what I'm working on. Remember, go to Indiegogos, crowdfundings, do all this. Look for new artists, new creatives, and search those and see all the new people coming up and try to give them some love too. Not just the old heads that have been here for a while. Look at the new people. And John, here you go. You have it. It's coming up. It's being done. It'll be out.
Hold it up again.
Not much on it right now. I don't know if you can.
Nice.
Oh, that looks great.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Nice.
That looks great. It's funny. My wife was watching you the other day when you said you can't draw, and then you held up that beautiful countryscape. My wife was upstairs like, "Are you kidding me? You can draw like that."
No, thank
Your
you.
backgrounds are really good. Yeah.
I'm a detail guy. Too much. I like going in there and hammering. And that's my
You're
problem.
working on something now, so you're going to be mostly done before you crowdfund.
I will be complete. I'll have 3 books written before I even put a page on crowdfunding.
Okay, there you go. Tonic Ball, are you still here? Anything you want to say? Anything you want to promote before we go?
Yes. Okay, we got Saving the World Omnibus. You can still back it and get it ordered, and it fulfills in probably early next month, along with Saving the World number 12, and then On Call Heroes number 2, written by me with Jacob Sebesta on art. That's coming up probably next week. It starts crowdfunding, and now, just real quick, with all the things we're talking about, I'm the biggest red flag to everything said. I do not have a real job. I only crowdfund. However, mind you, I'm not super popular, right? So that's the one catch. If you make $300,000, yeah, that's a little, that's weird. I don't. I make top $7,000 or $8,000 per issue, and so yeah, there is an exception to every rule. But as creators, it's important. Like, for instance, you're talking about their first campaign, but they fulfill it in their second. Oh, no. You don't know what you're doing until your 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th comic fulfilled. I mean, it's always different and crazy, and there's so much to learn, to where I didn't trust myself to do a second campaign or to even think about the next one until fulfillment, until issue 10 and 11, and I still fucked the pooch on the whole thing. And so, it's, as creators, the rule.
I will say this, Tonic Ball, you are like the crowdfunding guru, because Brian, Fabrizio, myself, we all ask you questions,
Right,
And
right.
we ignore your advice at our own peril.
Every time, I shit you not, everybody asks my opinion on their first campaign, and I give it all. I say, okay, here's what I've learned, here's what I got, and they completely ignore it and then go, son of a bitch, I should have done that. I was like, well,
Right.
I told you, but
So- But he has 12 campaigns. Every one of them shipped. Every one of his comics is great. So
yeah, and I think I'm on really combined because I've done side projects and all that. Probably 15 or 16 different comics I've done. Most I wrote, drew. I edit myself. I had a guy do it, but it was like I was like, oh, this is really just spell checking. And so then I was like, I think I can do it myself. And yeah, it ended up being fine. I haven't made any huge mistakes. But and so but it's doing a lot but and one last point I would say, the direct market died. Like, it's been dead, and it just got a bullet in the head when Diamond went under.
right.
So we're going to see more professionals entering crowdfunding because say you do really good on crowdfunding, there's nowhere else for you to go. You can't go to Diamond. They'll steal all your money, and they're gone now. But everything, the market for comics specifically is so bad that there is nowhere else for them to go. So it is where we're getting crowded by these people. We go, these guys are professionals. They should have somewhere to go. And sadly, it doesn't exist. You can't make $300,000 selling a comic book at comic book stores. It's impossible. Nobody does it. That's why everybody's going to crowdfunding. And so we have to fix our market and find something, because I was considering going to Diamond Distribution just to get my comic out there more, because I only have 250 readers. I would like more than that. And then Diamond went under and took everybody's money because they went bankrupt, and all those publishers had to shut down and got screwed over. And so I was like, man, there's no good answers to the situations we're all in.
I was thinking of going. I was in preliminary talks to talk with a publisher about my comic, and then they just said, let's see what Diamond says. Now is not the time to take on new projects.
Yeah,
Mark, because I want to go have dinner before. So, Marcus, anything you want to say? Anything you want to promote?
No, I'll let you go have dinner. I'll ask questions at the next show.
Yeah, at 8:30 we're going to be doing It's Clobbering Time, Dark Lords, Darth Vader.
I was working on this drawing. You guys can see that.
And Admiral Wackass. Anything you want to say? Anything you want to promote?
Yeah, I'm starting my channel up a little bit. So if you want to hear me rant like a fucking idiot, or I'm gonna do some reviews of all the comics. I've backed over 300 campaigns, so I'm gonna go through all of them and fucking review all of them, and hopefully you can get a good idea of what the space is looking like based upon that. But thanks for having me on, and all power to you guys running these campaigns. I know it's hard.
So everybody, when I launched, I thought I had till 8 o'clock today. Then when I checked, I have till 8 o'clock tomorrow. So yes, I'm a jerk, and I prematurely launched, which I haven't had that problem since college.
Wow.
But here we go, everybody. So I might stream tomorrow for the legit ending. And it's an open. It's not even a secret. I told everybody, once this closes down, it's going to stay in demand. I want Fund My Comic to be my, first and foremost source. So if you're thinking about backing me, I would prefer if you went to Fund My Comic. But I will also launch on Kickstarter because I did pretty good on Kickstarter last time, and every dollar helps. I'm not going to go to Indiegogo, but seeing that they're being bought by crowdfund, I'm not going to rule them out in the GameFound. I'm not going to rule them out in the future. Maybe things will change, because why did I go on a platform that shadow banned me? You know what I mean? I'd like to think that maybe that will be fixed.
I also think that Fund My Comic and Indiegogo have a lot of the same backers, so it doesn't always pay.
And I made
on Fund My Comic.
I made a couple of mistakes on my first campaign that I think I'm going to rectify. But anyway, I'm going to stop now. Thank you guys. You still have exactly 24 hours to back on Fund My Comic. I mean, you can still back, but the way the campaign works is this is how I know how much to print. So when it closes, I'll print like 25% more. So if I turn off the in demand when I won't have any more extra copies. But you got 30 more days because Kickstarter out. I'm babbling now. But good night, everybody.
Good night.
Have a good night, guys.
8:30 open invite for It's Clobbering Time. Darth Vader versus Voldemort.
Everybody come back.
Everybody come back now. All right.
I'll probably be drawing still.
Okay. Everybody come back.